In 1976, Chicago Bears head coach Jack Pardee was named National Football Conference Coach of the Year. One of the youngest, brightest, and most energetic coaches in the NFL, Pardee's enthusiasm was infectious. The emotional Bears were a mirror image of their coach. Young, positive, determined. And together they forged the team's best record since 1968, battling for a playoff spot into the last month of the season. The 1976 Bears, in fact, were the youngest team in the NFC. Predictably, their 7-7 record saw victories they were not supposed to achieve and defeats they were not supposed to suffer. But the strides taken by the Bears in 1976, both in winning and losing, enabled them to see their goal. In 1977, the Bears will do whatever it takes to attain that goal, victory. Though much about the team is new, the Chicago Bears have never lost touch with their proud history. The now Bears will do whatever it takes to restore that championship image. Typical was the case of the linebacking corps. The number 55, Doug Buffon, was lost to injury in 1976. Ross Brubacher stepped into the breach. There was a time when number 59 wore number 31 for the Bears and seemed to be on his way to stardom. Brubacher had a nose for the football, but after 3 seasons, he decided to bury that nose in a law book and retired to earn his degree. Happily, Brubacher came back to the Bears in 1976, and despite 3 years away from the NFL, had his finest pro season, intercepting 7 passes, tops among league linebackers. Brubacher's return from retirement is one linebacking plus for the 77 Bears. Number 57, middle linebacker Don Reeves' return from injury in 1976 earned him a spot in a bright future. While Ross Brubacher's game is finesse, Don Reeves' game is fury. Both styles yield positive results. Teaming with Brubacher and Reeves is number 50, Wayman Bryant, who is still learning the nuances and hazards of the outside position. But Bryant learns quickly. One of the Bears' finest athletes, Wayman Bryant does whatever it takes. A swift, strong defender of his own flank, Bryant's exceptional speed enables him to pursue ball carriers from sideline to sideline. Hustlers like Wayman Bryant are a part of what it takes to field a winning team, but it also takes the not-so-obvious contributions of starters like Bryant, who join the men of the no-glory special teams. Place kicker Bob Thomas, number 16, and punter Bob Parsons put the ball in play, and the Bear teams chase it down so well that only one team in the conference allowed a lower average kickoff return, thanks to Thomas's talented toe. Thomas and Parsons are highly specialized players for whom the special teams are named. While special teams are vital to Jack Pardee, they also are known as suicide squads, manned by players like Mike Adamle, who can take a light-hearted look at a part of the game that is as crucial as it is crunching.
Special teams are really a strange phenomenon to begin with, in that if you separated it from the rest of the game, you know, the offense and the defense, it wouldn't look like football at all. It's more like a demolition of derby with all these bodies going every which way. And, you know, you don't have to memorize plays or anything. You just go down there crazy. The teams that play good special teams as a whole are a bunch of dedicated athletes. We don't have the most talent in the world, but we do have a lot of vim and verve and a lot of enthusiasm. And one day during a meeting, I had a stream of unconsciousness, and I wrote some iambic pentameter in our behalf, and it goes something like this. Men of all different shapes and sizes, committed to a common goal, hurtling their bodies into combat where fractures take their toll. Schubert is a maniac and Bryant inflicts pain, and Planck belongs in a psychiatric ward to see if he is insane. Muck and Hicks are bearded weirdos with noses for the ball, and Liver silences critics who say he's way too small. But what possesses these men of madness? What makes them so unafraid? I think it has to do with Jim Finks and the fact that they're underpaid.
Men of sacrifice make the special teams special. Men more concerned with the results than with receiving credit for them. Men who will do whatever it takes, coming in and throwing the block that brings the Bears a touchdown. Number 20 brings special team bravado to all of his assignments. Adam Lee will take on anyone, and when push comes to shove, special team assignments afford the opportunity to return some licks. A winning team must have men like Adam Lee and Johnny Musso, number 22. Men like Bill Knox, Steve Schubert, and Jerry Muckenstern. Men who, when an opportunity presents itself, will make the most of it. Men who will do whatever it takes to win. Number 46, Doug Planck, is another starter who plays special teams. He joins number 43, Craig Clemens, to give the Bears a safety tandem that is the hardest hitting in pro football. When these bruising Bears sight their targets, the ball carrier is going to go down. It's just a matter of how hard. Planck and Clemens' goal in 1977 will be to make their pass coverage the smashing success their tackling has been. If those two leave many a runner checking his parts, the Bear cornerbacks have many a quarterback shaking his head. Number 24, Virgil Libers, and Alan Ellis, number 48, are the lightning on pass coverage to Planck and Clemens' thunder. In 1976, Ellis and Libers did not allow a touchdown pass until the 9th week of the season. They scored once themselves and teamed for 9 interceptions. '76 rookie Brian Bashnagel, number 47, reported to camp as a defensive back, but moved to offense when injuries downed wide receivers Ron Shanklin and Bo Rather. Bashnagel's bag is the big play. He does whatever it takes, and sometimes more, to fill one wide receiver slot. Bashnagel's wingmate is James Scott, number 89. While Bashnagel has a habit of leaving his feet, Scott's feet never seem to touch the ground. He flew past secondaries to average 20 yards a catch and scores 6 touchdowns. '23-year-old veteran quarterbacks are a rarity, but Bob Avellini has started 18 games and batted .500 during that rugged apprenticeship. He has a big league arm and unsinkable confidence and toughness. But there is more to the position than pretty spirals and 80-yard bombs. Sometimes it can be a real pain. Doing whatever it takes, during the off-season, Avellini shed 15 pounds to increase his mobility. And the Bears moved to increase their striking power by hiring Sid Gilman, long recognized as one of pro football's finest offensive coaches. Avellini and the aerial game will be one of Gilman's chief projects as the Bears seek a better balance between the pass and the rush, incorporating backs like Walter Payton into the passing game and moving on the sharper, crisper passes of Avellini's arm. While Avellini and the Bear offense seek more muscle for 77, Wally Chambers and his defensive mates will do the same. Chambers' combination of power and speed rank him as one of the game's finest defensive linemen. Chambers can drive an offense to its knees with a degree of quickness that has him off the ball and into the backfield in a flash. There is almost no way to block him. Cross blockers cannot reach him before he penetrates the backfield. Chambers is a heady player, too. As soon as he sees a guard pull to lead a wide play, he makes the necessary adjustment to the outside. He can overcome a rare false step, a gift that makes Wally Chambers a dominant defensive lineman. Just as Chambers ranks as one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL, number 68, Jim Osborne, has emerged as one of the fiercest pass rushers in the league. On this play, Chambers beats his blocker. And the back, who should be looking for Osborne, must now be concerned with Chambers, leaving Osborne free. With plays like this, Osborne sacked Redskin quarterbacks 3 times, but he can do it on his own, too, as witnessed by his 3 sacks on Jim Plunkett of the 49ers. Outside pressure is applied by Roger Stillwell, number 71, who had 6 quarterback sacks in 1976. Stillwell is coming off knee surgery and is ready to do whatever it takes to rejoin the Bear defensive front in 1977. Ron Rideout, number 76, excelled in relief at defensive tackle in 1976 and is a strong candidate for a regular's role in 77. What it takes to have a complete defensive line is a player like Mike Hartenstein. After just 2 pro seasons, Mike is one of the Bears' most consistent defenders. Whatever it takes for number 73, Mike Hartenstein, translates into effort and toughness to hold his own against the run and to attack the passer. His brushes with glory are few, but that is the nature of his job, to do what it takes to win. And Mike Hartenstein is a winner. Every defense needs a ringleader, and few men have stronger credentials to assume that role than number 60, Wally Chambers. But the punishing Bear defense doesn't highlight one player. The new monsters of the Midway are all over the field. Heavy hitting creates the turnovers that win football games, and the Bears hope to match their excellent takeaway-giveaway ratio of a year ago. Chicago recovered more and fumbled less than any team in the conference. Many of the turnovers resulted from a withering pass rush, as Chicago recorded a club record 49 sacks, treating enemy quarterbacks like so many rag dolls. Injuries demanded roster juggling and meant vital experience, depth, and flexibility for Dan Neal, Dan Piper, Dan Jiggets, Noah Jackson, Dennis Lick, Lionel Antoine, Jeff Seavey, Reeve Sorey, and John Ward, and for tight ends Greg Latta and Bob Parsons. Though building, the Bear offensive line still ranks second in the NFC in passer protection and led Walter Payton to the conference rushing title. Regardless of the combination or situation, the Chicago forwards will do whatever it takes, whether it be popping fullback Roland Harper clean into the secondary or providing Payton safe passage outside. Offensive linemen rarely get much public notice, but on the 13 occasions when they sent Payton to pay dirt, he made sure they shared in the spoils. When it comes to blocking, every Bear gets into the act. The act is simple enough. Knock somebody down. Even the running backs work at it. And fullback Roland Harper, number 35, is an expert. Harper gives great flexibility to the Chicago offense. At 215 pounds, he has little trouble cleaning out a cornerback. Harper's consistent blocking allows a much bigger lineman to release downfield to deal with another potential tackler. A running back with Harper's versatility can make a winning team out of an also-ran. Last season, he led the Bears in receptions, but running free and easy just isn't his style. In 1976, Roland Harper was 625 yards of tough. The Bears' preparation for 1977 was launched a year ago when this young team was thrust into the teeth of a demanding schedule that matched them against established playoff teams for 6 consecutive weeks. The Bears stood toe-to-toe with the NFL's elite. During that stretch, the Bears met the NFC Eastern Division champion Dallas Cowboys, played 2 games against the NFC champion Minnesota Vikings, 1 game against the NFC Western champion Los Angeles Rams, a game with the playoff-bound Washington Redskins, and 1 game against the eventual Super Bowl champion Oakland Raiders. Over that rocky road, Chicago won twice and lost 2 games by a single point, including a heartbreaking loss to Oakland when a hoped-for winning field goal hit the goalpost. With good marks in that test, the Bears believe they now stand closer to their primary goal, winning the Central Division. However, losses to Atlanta, Detroit, and Denver were painful reminders that the passport to the playoffs is consistency. Jack Pardee sums up, every game is just as important as another. It takes 14 all-out games from everybody. The good teams play peak-out football every game. That's what makes them good. We have to learn that lesson if we expect to be a contender. The words that describe all the Bears are youth, ambition, talent, and potential. Exactly the same words used to describe Walter Payton, perhaps the personification of this team. Like so many of the Bears, Payton's great skills and enthusiasm lack only the keen edge that comes with maturity and experience, the purpose and discipline of a champion. To date, there have been peaks and valleys for Walter Payton and all the Bears. What it will take from here on is more peaks and less valleys. Because like the Bears, when Walter Payton is good, he is very, very good. Payton's running ability cannot be taught. He developed it as a child in a simple game called tag.
I was always the last one to get caught. And if you got caught, you was it. And you had to catch everybody else. And I knew how hard it was, so I'd never ever want to get caught. So I would just be running and faking and sliding under and jumping over and just trying to get away. The only time where I could see where I really did, when my abilities were really starting to show, was when I was real small, about 7 years old. I could just see myself trying to beat my father back home, making different cuts around corners and faking trees out and different things like that. You never know where you're going to end up. You're just running away from the opposition. You never know where you're going, but you know it's a great feeling when you get there.
In 1976, only O.J. Simpson got there more often and outrushed Walter Payton. Payton's 1,390-yard season was a Bear record as he eclipsed the one-season mark of the great Gale Sayers. Chicago borrowed the name of a fictitious little New England town, and Walter Payton took on the name Sweetness.
When they saw me out on the field with my cuts, you know, some of the linemen, you know, commented by saying, God, he's sweet moves. And then, you know, it just kept on until they just started calling me Sweetness. My college coach at Jackson State, Coach Hill, said, die hard, never die easy. And that's why just before I get tackled, I try to explode into the defensive man. And sometimes I drive for extra yardage.
Payton's developing maturity was evident as he neared 1,000 yards. It is evident in how he would like to be remembered. A sentiment all Bear players must hold to if they are to do whatever it takes to become champions.
As far as 1,000 yards at the beginning of the year, you know, that's all I could see. You know, just like a kid before Christmas time, you know, the toys and stuff dancing in his head. And I see 1,000 yards. And the closer I get to it, you know, the more that I thought it meant, because it really doesn't mean that much. Walter Payton was a team ball player. That would be the most rewarding thing, because anybody could go out and be for themselves. I got to help him, he's got to help me. You know, we've all got one particular goal in mind, and that's reach the Super Bowl. And whatever it takes to get there, we're going to do it.